Mm.
Oh, hello, welcome friends, welcome other parents, grandparents, anybody today that works with kids. My name is Aya Redden. I'm here with Mary-Elise Colbert. And today I want to introduce the fact that I watched the amazing series. It's only a 4-part series called Adolescence. And it is a movie that a lot of people are now talking about around the world, which for me is wonderful because it's a tremendous opportunity for us to see what's happening for our young people through a lens that is, on the one hand, the story is very difficult and in many ways tragic, but the story is told with such compassion and empathy for everybody involved that it really gives us, or gave me, a way to think about how we're working with our kids, how we're helping our kids, how we're supporting our kids and our families. And that's the work that I am doing. That's the work that I'm here for. And so I'm going to encourage everybody who hears me today to take the time to watch it. It's very important. And Mary-Elise hasn't yet had the time to see it, but will, and then next week she and I are going to talk about it. What it does bring up, though, definitely is this need for us to really be aware of what's going on with our kids. So not on this surface level of do they seem to be okay? Are they eating 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day or whatever? Or do they seem to be okay? But really, what is going on, and that we approach what's happening as they reach that towards the teenage years, that we really approach it through the lens of curiosity and listening, but listening with our entire bodies. What are we seeing? What are we sensing? What are we hearing from them? And with that, I know Mary-Elise has a story that she wanted to tell that will give us an opportunity to be thinking about our own parenting and how to better support our kids in different situations, and understanding that we're all different, we're all human, we're all doing the best we can with what we've got. But how can we be maybe better supporters of our kids in a very, very difficult environment that they're living in right now?
Mm. Thank you, Isla. It is really a very difficult environment because we are confronted with things every single day that we can't even begin to imagine most of the time. And through the many changes that I've had to go through physically with my child in terms of moving even to another continent, etc., moving schools, all the things that a lot of us get to deal with. I'm very grateful. It's really by grace only that I had to be very curious about him because I had to monitor how he was doing through all these changes because it was more than most kids, I think, go through. So really by grace, I was constantly looking for signs, listening in every conversation, really trying to be as present as possible, even on the hard days, to try and understand what he might be going through that it's not necessarily that wasn't my experience. But something that I did learn, which I really want to encourage all the parents, even if whether your child is 3 or 13 or 23, but that's not what we're talking about today. Really be curious about who your child is, not who you expect them to be, not who you want them to be in every situation, not a mini me or, you know, better than anybody else, but really what is inside that child. Because something that really um, one of the conversations that immediately stand out to me was when my child was going through a difficult thing, and he was in a new school, and he was getting very aggressive about something one day. And I said to him, "Stop. What happened?" And he said, the boys were just this and they were doing that. But the way that he spoke and his reactions in that moment, I just said, "Stop. This is not who you are. What I'm seeing in front of me now is not the boy that I know. And yes, you're going through a lot of stuff, so I totally get that. But talk to me about this in this moment." I wasn't judging him, I wasn't reprimanding him, I was like, what am I seeing? There, that's wonderful to see. Yeah. And so I just, in that moment, I said, just stop for a moment. This is not who you are. Tell me about what you experienced. Tell me about what the other kids did. Tell me how you're feeling. But let's just quickly bring you back to who you are. And, I reminded him of the contrary of what he was showing me. I reminded him of situations before where, people commented on quite the opposite behavior, to remind him that's who you are. When no one's looking, that's who you are. Remember, and he said, yes, Mom, that's true. I said, okay, thank you. So I wouldn't have known that or known to do that if I wasn't so keenly aware of him. And make no mistake, he's very different to me. So it's not like I could do that because I didn't see the reflection of myself in that moment. He's actually very different to me most of the time. So I want to encourage parents, please spend that time, check them out, observe, even in tiny moments when they're doing arbitrary things. Observe and make a mental note of that, because they need to be reminded of that. Everything that is magical about them, everything that you experience, everything that you appreciate, everything that you love, everything that you find so wonderful about them, it's in those hard moments. I think that they really need to hear that the most. Because if you are constantly facing a world that is so different to your inner world, or so not what you want to see, something needs to keep bringing you back to who you really are. And I think that's where we as parents supposedly know them best and can probably be the most helpful in those moments.
Yes, so I just let me just piggyback on what you're saying, because what you reminded me of is that what our children, no matter what age they are, what we know is that they want our validation.
Mm,
And that validation needs to be something positive. Where
mm, mm,
we can't change or support with the negative. We can only do it with the positive.
mm,
And that comes from taking the time to really know who your child is. So
mm,
that when those things happen, which inevitably they will, because it's a tough world out there for them.
mm,
And they're
mm,
constantly in these, especially in these teenage years, it's all about identity. They're
mm,
trying to figure out who they are, and they're becoming a completely new person.
mm,
And we're the only ones that can really validate that. And we need to be doing it for them, because the outside world is helping them to see, do I want to become like this, or do I want to become like, they're looking to figure out, as I'm developing my identity, who do I want to be most like? Make
mm.
it be you. Make
Yeah.
it be the version you see them being, and then give them the opportunity to develop into that. Don't hold them back. Figure out what would be more of them, and
Yes.
then help them go in that direction, support their independence in that.
Mm.
Don't start hovering and pulling them back. It's not going to help, because that biological impulse to move from child to adult is something that no parent can stop. And no child can stop. I mean, it is the imperative of growth. So it's going to happen anyway. Let it happen with you, instead of you trying to figure out how to create a new relationship with that child when it's really too late.
Yeah. And just based on what you said, Isla, so being keenly aware, but then also don't go overboard and become that helicopter parent that's constantly telling the child, oh, do this, do this, do this, because really, please hear us when we say, hear who they are, remind them of who they are, not that other version of you. You know, sometimes just the fact that they came out of you is probably the only thing that even makes you feel like they are in any way part of you. But even in those moments, to just be that adult that is able to understand a little bit more, or that has the experience or the knowledge that can say, I see where you're headed with this, or I hear what you're saying. Just consider this. Because if we can just support and offer the guidance and give the love and encourage when it's necessary, then we're doing a marvelous job. Then we are being what they need us to be. And I just want to encourage you with that. I'm very passionate about that, because we know the world needs so much more of that. That's what we deal with every day, you and I both. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to wrap us up and maybe get us ready for next week, because
Amazing.
I'm excited that you're going to watch this.
Mm.
To me, it's the most important thing that I've seen in years. I think its time is now. I think the bravery that you will see in everybody who made this movie will be is inspirational, honestly, because it's got to have been a very, very hard thing to make, and yet it's so important. It's so very, very important, and it is for today. It's for our time. So so with that, I don't you say our goodbyes for today.
Thank you so much. It's always a privilege to talk to you, and I'm so grateful for your wonderful heart. Because I think anyone who watches what you do and sees all the effort that goes into what you do, and your passion for the subject, will be inspired to do the right thing. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, my friend. I very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you. Okay, folks, until next week.